Good morning and welcome to Faith Fridays with Coach Ellis. Hey, this is the day where I spend just a few minutes talking to us about matters of faith, particularly about how we live and how we walk out our faith traditions and our faith perspective. So this morning I want to talk. I was at a conference last week, and there was a lot of talk about how associates interact with their pastors, how people interact with their pastors. And one of the recurring themes was this idea of never challenging your pastor. So as I started thinking about this and praying through this, a couple texts come to mind. And the first text, Lady D, is study to show yourself approved unto God. And later on in that text, it talks about rightly dividing the word of truth. So, Deacon Richardson, this idea of studying really goes to this place of not reading the scripture, but studying it, getting into the nuance, understanding the syntax and the culture in which it was written, studying the word. Because here's the problem with not challenging the pastor, and I think there's a way to do this. So we never want to be disrespectful of our leaderships, never. You never want to publicly out them for being incorrect or for your perception of them being incorrect. But then you go behind closed doors. There's another text, Karen, there's another text, Alexandra, that talks about this idea of reasoning together. Now, some people will understand that when it talks about reasoning together, that was a conversation about salvation. But I think we can draw the line from intellectual conversations about scriptural things to apply it to our study of the word. So what happens when the pastor has said something or believes something that you believe is biblically and spiritually incorrect? Well, I think you go to that brother, you go to that sister, you have a conversation. And when I was pastor, here's what I appreciated. Hey, pastor, I was reading back over what you were preaching about or teaching about, and I didn't get to the same place you got to. As I read the text, I see it this way. So can you help me understand how to get to where you are in this? Now, what that does, it gives me as a pastor the opportunity to explain where my study took me. It's possible as a pastor, I might have some insights to some things based on education and experience that you may not have. However, it is also possible that you might have some insight into the text based upon your experience and your personal study that I don't have. It's possible and probable that God has spoken to you about this text in a way he did not speak to me about. So coming and let's reason together allows us to share our knowledge and our experience and our understanding of the text with each other. Here's the problem. Too many spiritual leaders are busy protecting their egos and not protecting their flock. Too many people, Lady J, are involved in trying to keep hold of their position of power and not divest their power into the potential of the people. This is so critically important, because when we are on, it's possible, and I say this to pastors and spiritual leaders. I know several doctors. I was in pharmaceutical sales for a while. I know many doctors, and those doctors go through undergrad college, they go through medical school, they go through residency, they go through specialty, and eventually those doctors become world-renowned surgeons and pediatrician, etc. Even then, two things can happen. They can be guilty of malpractice because they're negligent, or they can simply be mistaken. So if doctors can do that, if lawyers who go through law school and practice for a living, Brother Goldsmith, practice for a living, Belinda, law, and they go on to be judges, it is possible that at some juncture they could be wrong. So how is it that we don't think that pastors or spiritual leaders or scriptural teachers could ever be wrong? This is the pride, this is the height of arrogance. If I were to use Jack's word from Law and Order, that's hubris. And we must protect against the hubrisness that we could not be wrong. So there's a way to challenge pastors. There's a way to challenge spiritual leaders, but challenge them. I am scared as a pastor's coach now. I'm scared of pastors who can't be challenged, because what it means to me is that they think so much of themselves that God could not possibly have spoken to anybody else. So challenge them. And if you find yourself with a person who doesn't want to be challenged, can't be challenged, find you somebody else who's willing to work with you for you to get your understanding. We're past today. I don't think God ever requires us. God does not require us to blindly follow him. So he certainly does not require us to blindly follow anybody else. Hey, I ain't saying, I'm just saying that study to show yourself approved, and then reason with those who are doing the teaching. And if they're wrong, show them where you've done the study, and be willing to accept the fact that their perspective might be different from yours, and you might actually learn something. So it goes both ways. And at the end of the day, what you get a chance to do is get a greater understanding about what God has said in the text. Because remember, the Bible only means what it means. You can't make it up. You can't fake it up. It only means what it means. So, with that said, today's faith moment is study to show yourself approved. Then go reason with the folks who are doing the teaching, that everybody might grow. Hey, I'm Coach Ellis. If you got questions, comments, or issues, hit me up at coach@elliscrum.net, or catch me on Facebook at Coach Ellis. Until next week, have a one-tabulous Faithful Friday. God bless you. Bye-bye.